So I'm going to do this year what I've done many years before, which is just essentially read through more or less in the order they were written, the poems I've written since I was standing here last year. So this will be a tour through my year. A number of you know this about my year, but for those who don't, a big chunk of it has been taken up with treatment for Hodgkin's lymphoma, which was diagnosed in March of this year, and I started on the chemo in April. Have now lost my hair temporarily, but things are going well. I probably wouldn't be talking about this if they were not going well. But the reason I'm telling you that is because it'll show up either in a direct or indirect way in some of the things you're going to hear in my set. But this, I'm going to start out with this one, which was written last fall before all this stuff came up. It's called Story. A story that doesn't know what direction to take, so it just follows itself, squeezing between juxtapositions. A story I told but have forgotten, and you weren't listening. A story that has everything in it that matters to the story and other things that don't matter at all. A story that puts you to sleep until it becomes your dream, and you wake up and it keeps you up. That's okay. Oh, hey, I want to say, Tonya, is that a bicycle bell on your walker? Yes. Would you mind ringing it right now? Just briefly. Thank you. And you are welcome at any point during this reading you want to give it a ring, okay? I was sitting behind you and I was just staring at that thing and I thought, I can imagine the sound of that bell. This one is called Walk in the Woods. I am younger than most of these trees. Their flat hands flutter above me. Every breeze awakens their unsteadiness. The only work they have to do is wave up at the sunshine all day and take it in. I walk by them and by them and by them, but sometimes I stop to lean a hand on the bark nearest me, or just stand there thinking, I suppose, but what I'm thinking goes out of mind immediately. And the ghost of what I must have been thinking flies up to the treetops and flutters there with the others, having no more work to do, and giddy with the breezes. Yeah, that's okay. Do whatever you want to. The title of this next one is a date given in numerals. 11/10/23. The night is receding into its airplanes. Dimly, I see tree twigs scratch at the sky. Human movement somewhere makes a noise on gravel. The airplanes are going off to wherever, as is the night. Yeah. So when I rehearsed that one, I kept running across that line, dimly I see tree twigs, which you say that, and you will discover that is hard to say correctly. It comes out all kinds of funny ways. So this one is called Them. They lived in houses like ours. The roof leaked. The attic rooms went deep into their dreams. Tomorrow looked low and full of work. The big blocks of stone that made the basement worked like the bones of feet do, drawing coolness up into the body. There we go. This one's called Looking at the Weather. 1. Even in mild rain, the drops are uncountable. One guessed leaving behind another. 2. Heavy rain reminds me of the stampede of sensations through me, frantic promises and failed excuses, wish lists made in desperation, what I never understand that never stops coming on. 3. A pool of clouds thickens the purple chill of night. A drop falls where my nose meets my cheek, like someone falling in line to leave. It trickles down my face, like an ordinary tear pursuing the ordinary fate of tears, which is to simply fall away. And I realize I don't understand that either. Okay, so we're getting into the part of the year that was where I was a patient. And the next one refers to something that I didn't mention when I said that, which is this experience has been weird to me in that I've had pretty much zero physical discomfort from, well, actually, I have had zero physical discomfort from the illness itself. You know, occasionally I've had something from the chemo that has upset my system a little bit, but I felt actually kind of healthy, more or less throughout. So it's just kind of weird being in that state. This is called patient. I'm not sick, I'm sick. Biopsy scar and some little dots on a screen are humble signs of illness, multiples of trouble. Against that, I assert I'm sick. I'm not sick. Gowns and procedures claim precedence, but nothing I truly want to have is not still with me. Trouble is my average now, but honestly, it was always so. I sweat when it's time to sweat. I fear, I rage, I laugh. My face looks into the eyes of the same face, looking back at it from the mirror, and I say out loud, I'm not sick, I'm sick. It's called Forward, Still Open. The way to follow is not hard to find. Everyone and everything tells me where to go next. Problems only come when they can't agree. An argument unfolds and swoops into my ears and falls down my throat to my belly or behind my belly. There is an argument going on inside me that doesn't want to be solved, which in turn leaves the way forward still open to so many possibilities. Do I like the choices arguments like that carry to me? Or do I want the simple certainty of all parts agreeing? That's another argument to have. Thank you. It's called What It Loves. The mind of mine that loves the worst clatters. The one that loves only the best hums. Is it thunder that comes next, or breezes? Expect the worst, expect the best. Either one upsets what just was. Think about it. This is called suffering. I feel fine, I said, and meant it. I feel fine, except I am afraid. No pain. I feel fine and afraid. And thinking about it, I realize having only that kind of suffering makes me feel better. All right. It's called Story Time. And I do not know, this is one of the ones that I wrote, and I didn't know, after I got it written, I didn't know what it was about. There's Lou Ann Johnson, the great Lou Ann Johnson, who has informed me that tomorrow I'm going to be featured on the Poet's Weave, so... have that to look forward to. Story time. Endless stumbling towards a voice that may not exist, coming out of something that could never be. A monster interred in a labyrinth of repetitions. What I have done is what I live in, he keeps saying. Or possibly, what have I done? What keeps me living? And this one is a little clearer about what it's about. Go in by the north entrance. The infusion chair sits in a cubicle made when they draw the curtains on the left and the right. It is now a room with cloth walls on 2 sides, open to the hall on a third, and the fourth is a glass wall to show us the native flowers garden terraced up high enough nothing of the world shows over it except a blue or cloudy or thunderously dark sky. People and their circumstances move in and out of the cubicles lying down the hall, and the hall has side halls that lead to cross halls, and people and their circumstances and their cubicles are there too. It is a place where echoes can stumble over each other endlessly. It is a labyrinth of repetitions with no monster inside, only something that jostled in that you hope won't stay long. And I'm going to read, there's a couple of just really brief ones. This is called The Search. No dark is silent. The ear, always searching for sound, believes always it's found it at last. And that belief is enough to comfort. Yeah, there you go. Another hit. Start. Early day, just before sunrise. The first breath ever taken must have lit up like this. Thank you. And now I'm going to do something I don't usually do, and hopefully I can find the thing I'm looking for. When I wrote the one this year, the next one in this pile here, I was actually thinking strongly of something I'd written 30-ish years before that's on my website. So I want to read the sort of precursor poem before I read this year's poem. The one that was written a long time ago, I was in my early 40s, and so I realized somehow at that point that's a place from which you can look in kind of in both directions. You're sort of equidistant there, more or less. So this one's called About to Sit Down. Stepping out the back door and watching snow settle bright, gleaming on the wood pile, the backwards and forwards looking guy smells smoke, and the color of the leaf-covered ground comes up into his eyes. Daylight is going to bed in the dirt, and snowflakes follow it as far down as they can. The backwards and forwards looking guy is about to sit down and remember all the snows he can and imagine the ones to come. He leans back in the rocker and releases his weight, impelling its own motion the other way. If my youth were a summer pasture, I'd be in a migration now toward the lower slopes, just ahead of winter. He sniffs his own smoke and thinks, I'm burning too, but slowly enough to be good for me. Thank you. And then this is the one that was written over the summer. Then, now, and when. Stood up to look at the coming day. Light barely on to the east, sun to follow soon. My breath comes evenly, and my mind goes backwards and forwards, both at once. They're further apart than they used to be. Ago gets so long ago. Next stays where it's always been. The distance between is the space where memory and anticipation have made a generous home for me. But somehow it is harder to see than they are. Now is always here and always gone in the same moment. Then and when never leave me alone. I'm still staring east. The sun is lifting over the edge of the earth. I hope it will be a day good to keep in mind, like many days I have been part of before. Okay, so I'm reading through this stuff. I've written it within the past year. I do not yet know how I feel about most of it, except for this next one. I absolutely despise this next one. I think it represents a very common sentiment expressed in a fairly obvious way. And when I'm done reading this, I don't want to hear applause. I want to hear boos. And I don't mean people shouting out their favorite bourbon label either. I mean, boo this thing into the dust. What makes us? We have to stand everything that happens to us. We stand trembling, we stand still, just breathing, but still we must stand it. For the everything we have to stand is what makes us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. This next one is called The Distance. No matter the measure of the highest leaf from the lowest root, each needs the other, which makes the distance between them dissolve. So I gather they must feel together sun's warmth and the cool of dirt. The whole thing. The dead tree, forever leafless, the green lifted wherever there was light, gone. Shade gone too. The forest floor is lit up. The high structure of spread branches is dead and visible. Insects gnaw dead wood and lay eggs. Woodpeckers come to eat infant grubs and make holes to inhabit or leave for others. Every so often, a storm comes. A limb weighted with water breaks off, falls against a stone, breaks again. The stone was there when the seedling came up. It has seen the whole thing happening. Shape. Waters shake, wind masses over oceans, floods, winds, fires rage against all or almost all. What they don't consume, they give edges to and a new shape. Whatever my fingers stretched around over time has shaped my hand gradually into this old man's hand, with its memories in wrinkles and its knowledge in calluses. And with some things, the surge of my grip, repeated over years, changed the thing's shape, and its new shape bent my fingers differently, so that I've lost track of which does what to which. This next thing, I think, will be familiar to all of us here. Life extensions. This day, like others, I try to find regrets. I am lengthening my life, regret by regret. Days double themselves with days that should have been. I thus enjoy longer life without feeling more ancient. And despite being loaded with the extra time, I don't have to feel any wiser either. There we go. All right. I am so glad I asked you to do that. This one will be over in a flash. It's called Task. I need to make a fair copy of everything. So I had that line. I didn't know what to do with it, and I thought, oh, hell with it. I'll make it into a sort of this like haiku-like object. I'll divide it into 3 parts. And then I looked at the 3 lines, and I noticed they each of the 3 lines has 4 syllables. I need to make a fair copy of everything. So it's 3, it's 4, it's 1 line. I don't know. I still don't know what to do with it. This next one's a little piece of local history. Some of you here may remember this event. Others couldn't possibly. Did I tell you about the night the town cinema burned to the ground? Sirens tried to drown out every other sound. But the words, "The town cinema is burning," the town cinema is burning, came through the filter of fire and the unlovely sirens. Nothing spoken is as fragile as fire, which breaks across its top into saw teeth of flame and disappears into the bubble of heated air, invisibly pushing the smoke along and away. That actually happened. I think it was the night I first gave a reading, at least in the downtown area. It was, so in the middle of the reading, there was all these sirens and stuff. Anyways, we went out, people were saying, the town cinema's burning, town cinema's burning. So, it's a big, it was the corner of 7th and Walnut, right next to where the Bluebird is now, sort of in Johnny Rockets up there. And there's now a new building there. For years there was nothing but a vacant lot. And it's the reason why the Uptown Cafe is where it is now. Because the Uptown Cafe was this little shotgun breakfast lunch diner that was sitting right next to it. You remember this. And there was fire and water damage from the theater that it was right next door to, that it had to close down for months, which would have put it out of business. So people put together an angel came through and funded the switch to the current location. So this is all Bloomington legend, I hope. Nobody that is not a Bloomingtonian here listening was bored by that, but anyways, this is my last one. Appreciate you paying the attention you paid. I wish I could get even more of it because I love getting attention, but my time is almost up. This one, the title of this one is also a date given in numerals. 8/21/24. Switching to the next blank book. I think I have one left. I'll look for it when I finish writing this down. I expect I'll put lies in it, and the truth, and some simple errors that I won't be able to hide. The handwriting will vary from unwavering to wavering. On some pages, a forceful line will cancel out everything, and on others, marginal notes will be set at an angle to squeeze in. Occasionally, there will be a despairing note denying everything written in the last several pages, or denying that I am a poet at all anymore. But overall, I hope I enjoy the hell out of the next one the way I have with this one. Thank you very much.